So first up, we will be having Invent AI team presenting in, wherein we have Prerit, who has been the mentor. Thank you, Prerit, for mentoring everyone. The people who are presenting are Vinay. He's Associate Director of Product. Then we have Shubham. He's Senior Product Manager at Edelweiss. Then we have Nidhi, who is, again, a Group PM. And then we have Deepak. He's a Principal Product Manager. Folks, if you can come on camera and one of you can start sharing screen as well. Akhil, over to you.
I'm not sure all of you are aware about the fact that at least, I think 50% or even more than 50% of small businesses shut down due to poor inventory management. And if you look at for MSMEs or from small business owners perspective, every unsold item sitting on the shelf or every stock out during peak demand directly impacts their survival. And even today, I think not all the businesses have the capability to predict and then figure out, okay, what's the right inventories that they should have. And that's, I would say, one of the biggest pain point this industry is facing. And we have Invent AI team who's basically attempting to solve this problem. So I'd not take much time and hand it over to this team and share how you are planning to solve this problem. All right, I think we have Nidhi, we have Vinay and Shubham. And
yes,
yeah.
Just a second, the screen is loading for me. Nidhi, could you please go back to the first page, the first slide? Yeah. So as all products go, we make changes till the last moment before production, and we thought of choosing completely changing the name from Invent AI to Shelfwise. Starting off on the problem statement. When we were given an option to choose a problem statement, we thought we wanted to solve for somebody who is at a very ground level with the field. We want to solve for small businesses, and that is where we could have brought in the power of agentic AI to small businesses, and that is where we think the real opportunity lies, and that is where we picked up the current state of the inventory management as our problem statement. So, basis the research, we found out that businesses lose close to around 17% working capital rollover, and while there is a revenue loss, working capital rollover gives a major cash crunch to the business, creating a much more overall impact. From a lost opportunity perspective, of course, stockout leads to significant losses, and in this era of users always choosing convenience over the particular store or availability, always being available for the customer is very important. We can't just ignore that a particular item has not been sold because the customer will be very quick to shift to another platform just because of the availability and might stick to it for a very longer time. And of course, operational inefficiencies. Inventories has always been one of the biggest problem areas when it comes to, and one of the biggest consumers of resources when it comes to the supply chain management. So the objective of Shelfwise was, since we were building for the small use cases, we started off with three simple objectives. First one, risk prediction. So we predict the risk and to prevent overstocking or understocking of a particular SKU proactively. Automated forecasting to give the view to the users on what is the expected demand. Now, this will be based on the historical data and also any inputs about the promotions that they're running, etc. And lastly, actionable insights. What can they do better? Should they include the maximum, minimum stocking quantities? Should they order more often? Should they club more orders? And that is how we went about the problem statement. Can you move to the next slide, please, Didi? Yeah. So I'll take you through the key features and use cases. Then we'll first go to the product. We'll see the workflow of the N8N, and we'll come back to the GTN, the scalability, etc. So from a core capability perspective, we have a risk heat map. It visualizes overstock and understocking at a glance. High, medium, low priorities. We have an AI demand forecasting tool.
So what we are trying to show is that the core capabilities of the product are that we are providing a risk heat map as well as Shivam has already mentioned that it actually predicts the demand on the basis of the backend AI-based agent, and it allows the user to log the sales data And along with that, it provides a supply insight wherein we track the lead time of any particular supplier after placing the order, after how many days we are getting our order back, and expiry date of each and every item. So what impact it will actually create to the end user in the market? So like as you mentioned that we are planning to target the retailers out there. So basically all the restaurant owners, chemist shops, retail chains are all maybe all kirana stores in on our streets who are right now managing all their inventory on their register or something. They don't have that clear visibility how much stock of each item they need to uh, uh, keep at their particular location. So Nidhi, if you can please move to the next slide.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this, sorry,
just
when
go back.
this we will, yeah, we will go through after we go through the product. Yeah.
And if you can please switch to the N8 and workflow. So till now we
No, no,
have
no, no. Vinay, we'll talk them through the UI first and then you can take over. Is that okay?
no, yeah, no problem. So
Yeah,
just show.
okay. Yeah. Hi
So
guys. So yeah. So basically, this is how your launch page would look like. And as Vinay and Shubham mentioned, what we are trying to do here is basically look at the data that the users have and give them actionable and predictive insights on their historical data. So once we come on to this product, you can either sign up if you already don't have an account. For the interest of time, I will just log in with my ID, but usually you will get an email verification email, and that is how it works. So this is the launch page, and this comes here if you don't already have any data. So and these are different tabs that we have here, which we will go through. The data tab is where a user would add in data about their store. Analytics tab is where you would see the results. The orders tab is again generated by our LLM agent, which we will walk through in a quick short while. And the account is nothing but the user account details and the logout options. So I'll first show you what happens when we are about to add data. So when we add data, so as in any inventory management system, you basically need to add about the product details. So here you enter just the product ID, the category and the name. So we can do that, right? And then similarly on location, so if you have multi-location stores, you can just enter your location code, etc. If there's only one, then we just need to add one. Similarly, you can manually add data for sales. So if there's daily sales that you want to log into, we can just do that, right? And this will automatically populate from the DB. So we have used Supabase as a DB, which I'll quickly walk through as well before we upload any data, right? It will automatically on basis of selection populate whatever you have stored. You can select the location as well. So these are the locations which are already existing, and you can enter the unit sold and the price sold. For now, we have kept price sold as optional because we are just doing the stocking kind of analysis. So if it is added, it will also show the price which we have added in our data as well, right? Similarly for inventory, so a user can choose to just input inventory every day and not update the stock. So this has been made with that in mind. And then we have you optionally you could also just drag and drop any consolidated file that you might have on sales on inventory, and it will just get uploaded. I'll quickly just show you. So these are some of the tables that we created to manage this entire workflow. So we have the location table, as I said, right? It has some locations that we have already populated for this demo. Similarly, for the product table, we have already populated the product data as well. But if you see here, we don't have anything in the master table, which I'll just upload a sample file and show you. So what it contains is basically the unit sold, the location for each, the stock at hand, right? The promo code, if there is any promo code running, the expiry date, the lead time dates, the MRP, as I was saying, what is the price that you are selling, etc. So this is what it has. So I'll quickly I have a file ready with some 100 rows here, right? And it has, like, if you can see, it gives you a preview of the file as well. So once I kind of upload it, it will go and sit in my database. So if you see here, I'll just refresh the DB because it's 100 rows. So it sometimes takes yeah. So this is here my master table. So this basically has all the data loaded now, and it will trigger our N8N flow automatically. So for triggering, we have basically created some functions which actually kind of, this is the analysis tracking table, etc. And we have created an edge function as well, which is what will automatically call N8N. So the relay to N8N function is what, it will just call automatically to our N8N workflow. Yeah, so for the N8N workflow, uh, Vinay will take us through. Vinay, over to you. So you can just, yeah, so you can see
So,
it's already started executing. Yeah.
so just by looking at it, it might look a bit overwhelming for you. So help me explain each and every node to you in quick. Just let me give you a quick brief about each of them. So the very first node over here is the HTTP webhook entry point, which actually accepts the post with with a body that is actually containing the request ID and some other rows array. So this particular response is then passed on to our downstream nodes. So as we just move to the second or third this thing. So then we have kept some nodes to normalize the data in the form that is easy for our interpretation for our agents and everything. So we are basically exploding each rows over there. We are normalizing that data. One example of normalization could be that the date coming in from the input file could be in different format, EDM, YY or YY. So we are actually normalizing that into our required format before passing it on to our agent. And then we are aggregating our data SQ and location group wise, so that for a given location, let's say I'm a multi location retail business owner. So for each location, if let's say there's Pepsi kept at different location in my business, so it is actually grouping location with my SQ detail. So that for that particular group, we can analyze and predict the demand in that thing. And again, we are then consolidating this data and adding the key to this metadata. What it actually does, it actually adds the composite join key to the metadata, and then we are merging the demand data. So by merging what we are doing, we are actually joining the aggregated demand with the keyed in metadata. So two inputs are actually coming in over there. One is the demand stream on the main line, and second is the meta stream on the main line. So this connection basically shows that we have this consolidated information before we move on to the next thing. So, and then we have kept some risk buffer metrics. What it is doing, it is actually calculating or computing the buffer related and the you can say the inventory posture metrics, which is forming a baseline for our projection when we are moving to our agents. And then we are projecting the demand. So this is the core projection step. So user actually uses the recent demand and the rounding meta to compute the projected daily, and then plus it is actually rounding off that particular thing or precise projection over the multiple horizon. So for now, we have kept the horizon as for prediction for next 3 days, 7 days, 15 days, 30 days, depending on the demand of the user. User can select whatever demand they want to see, projected demand, and accordingly they can take a call whether they want to top up their inventory, they want to maintain their current inventory, or whatever it is over there. Then we are moving on to the computing the wastage risk. So in there, if let's say for each and every item, we are allowing the user to capture the expiry date as well. So if expiry date exists, so this basically estimate the excess unit at risk by comparing the on-hand quantity versus the expected consumption until the expiry. So this classifies the item into different severity, whether it's a high severity, medium severity, or low severity risk. So and that particular risk categorization includes the wastage at risk unit and wasted days to expiry as well. Then if we move to the stock out cost, so this computing the stock out cost, what it does, it actually calculate the risk, or you can say a parallel risk path is there for stock out or the cost or the risk type. So the output actually feeds into a merge step with the wastage risk, where we are connected from the project demand in parallel with the wastage risk. And similarly, we have combined the risk stream. So this risk stream actually merges output from wastage and stock out risk path into a single per SQ location risk record, and then we forward it to the scenario classifier. This scenario classifier actually assigns a scenario label, whether it's overstock, understock, none, and this normalizes the field used by the final formatter and optional LLM flows that we have ahead this particular node. So if we move to the this add index, this actually attaches a stable IDX to each item so that any asynchronous LLM path can be, you can say, remerged into the original order, and we can feed this to the first node, which is the should LLM. So by introducing these should LLM, should compute for, should stock out, or should wastage this thing, what we are doing, we are actually saving on to the tokens, because we understand if any particular user is using this N8 uh, agent as the backend. So there's a cost associated with each token that we are passing on to the LLM to process and provide the output. So we are actually restricting it over here. So what this should LLM does, it actually decides whether to call the LLM for the reasoning, and it only passes on that data that is the high or the medium risk item, or it bypass the other item which doesn't carry any risk out there. So from this we have two output. One is the build LLM input, and second is the LLM bypass. So build LLM input is actually, you can say, the brain of this thing for stream. It actually constructs the prompt, context for reasoning step, where, where we are passing the SQ, location, risk, horizon, inventory, or all this thing we are providing. And then the second node, that was the LLM bypass. It was actually for item which is not needing the LLM. So it fabricates a minimal reason or explanation placeholder. So downstream payload stays uniform this thing. Then similarly, we have these multiple LLM path merging. Yeah.
Vinay, sorry to interrupt. Just a quick time check. Yeah, we have last 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So this
Vinay,
way
let's
we have.
go to the dashboards now.
Yeah, just give me a 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
So this way we have kept three different AI agents. One is to calculate the risk, second is to calculate the stock out cost, and third is to calculate the wastage risk. And then we are actually consolidating all the output from these three nodes into one node, and then we are prioritizing this and providing that, or you can say enveloping that into a single result envelope before passing it on this particular data back to our lovable page. So now I'll pass it on to Shubham so that he can explain what kind of data we are actually getting out of it.
Yeah, Nadi, can we go to the analytics page, please? Yeah. So our main purpose was to keep it simple, not very cluttered. On the top, we have the high priority, medium priority, low priority SKUs that just show which SKUs are at trouble. Then we have the risk heat map to give an overview of which category falls, which SKU falls under which category, so that it gives you an overview about your inventory. Major thing that we wanted to bring is the cost of stockout. Can we just click on it once? Cost of stockout, please. So it goes on SKU wise. Again, we have currently in this database, the pricing is missing, but yes, it predicts an overall loss and shows you SKU wise so that you can prioritize the high selling SKUs, the high ticket SKUs over the low ticket SKUs. Can we please close this? And lastly, we have the demand forecaster. So it just goes on to show the demand for the next 4 days. Can we click on the tabs, please? Yeah. So again, SKU wise, it will show you the action, the reason, what you have to do immediately to address the sales forecast. So this is from an overall dashboard perspective. We'll just go back to the order section quickly, Nidhi. So what we have essentially done is we wanted to integrate a agent that also orders on your behalf. So here you can put in the vendors. Can we go to the vendors tab, please? Yeah. You can add in a vendor name, contact, email, ID, location, and products. Basis the output we get from the agent, it predicts which SKUs have to be ordered. It takes up the vendor database, selects which vendors to be ordered from, sends you a message on Telegram, and then places the order. And in the order view, you have the pending approval, your total orders and the active orders tab as well. Then we have the account section where you can go for any help that is required. There's a help section beside settings. Any user can put in their queries and it will reach our team directly. So that's all from the product side. Can we go back to the PPT, please?
Right. So in the interest of time, Shubham, we have to take a quick pause here. But overall,
Yeah,
I
please,
would
please, please.
say great work, right? I think we all could see like an extensive application of specific use case that you've picked on, and trust me, inventory management is like one of the beast even in biggest organizations. I myself have certain exposure in this domain, and it's really the organizations really struggle to go beyond 60% accuracy, and then still there are like stock outs, wastages. But I think for small medium owners it could really add a lot of value. But I think it's time to also hear panelists' thoughts, right? So I'll invite Dharani. Dharani, you can ask any question to the team or any feedback from your end.
First of all, I think I loved, in general, any inventory management optimizations is something that everybody loves. In general, how are you, planning to improve accuracy? Right, 60% being the benchmark. What are you currently, predicting the accuracy of this, and how are you going to improve this?
So from an accuracy perspective, currently when we started off with daily averages. We built in matrices for any promotions that you are running, for any seasonality. Going forward, as and when we get more and more history data, it's going to optimize itself. But for every use case that we are addressing, it might be a grocery shop, it might be a cloud kitchen. So, what are the specific parameters that are applicable to those particular use cases? We are going to plug that into the LLMs for them. So we can create profile based systems wherein if you are a cloud kitchen, your LLM will be running on certain other parameters versus say a grocery store versus say a trader who deals with inventory management, because the
Yes.
parameters affecting the demand will be completely different.
And Dharni, if I can add to that, what we are doing is based on the input data, we have the LLM at that LLM level. We are actually keeping the temperature setting at to very minimal so that it is not providing any random output out of that. And uh, we are just cleaning the data. So it again depend on the kind of input you are providing to it. So if the data is correct right now, as per our testing guidelines or the test data, we are actually till now we are actually getting 75 to 80% of accuracy. But we understand that as we will scale, this accuracy may go down. So accordingly, we will take care of that.
Interesting. Dhani, you have any follow-up question, or can I move to other panels?
No, I think.
Awesome.
Are we? Yeah, you can move on.
Awesome. Thank you, Dhani, for this. That's interesting question. Sugandha, any feedback or questions from your end?
No, thank you so much. I think this use case is very relevant. One specific thing I want to call out, which was really good in this one, is that we are using heuristics versus AI as needed and not like feeding all the data back to AI. For example, you did say that the items which are at risk or out of stock, and you also have like in principle a should LLM. Do you need an LLM from that perspective? That's a really smart way to use AI and at the same time save cost. So I would say that's really great. In terms of question, what I did not find is that how are you customizing or like how does this AI forecasting model specifically that you have that accounts for any sudden demand shifts, either festival or one-off events or anything? How do you do that? Because if you have only heuristic-based data, then how does it work?
I would like to answer that, Sugandha. If you have seen our data file, in the data file as well, we have kept a column dedicated for the promotions. So if let's say we have any event or any promotional event that is coming in the next few days, so we can provide that this particular event is coming over there, and depending on the past sales data, or the user can manually input as well that I'm expecting a 20% surge in the demand because of this event. So my AI LLM is actually taking that also into consideration when it is predicting the demand or the forecasted demand for the next 3 days, 7 days, or 5 days, 15 days, and based on that, it is providing me the output so that I can take a call on the inventory levels.
Got it.
Yes.
I think there's something called noisy sales data. I'm just trying to say that we'll have to distinguish between like what is actually building the pattern and learning from the pattern versus separating out noise. I think that's something we need to factor in into this. But other than that, yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Sugandha. I think very interesting question. In fact, the very first point that you put out, it's very important because in this entire ecosystem, even I think recently Sam Altman also have recognized that, okay, we are an AI bubble, right? So for every use case, we should not jump to Gen AI. We should first see, do we even need it, right? Or, is our entire data, because what we have imagined is like, we just know probably how to write prompts and go to LLMs and change the world for us. And that's what AI is, right? That's like, super bad conceived notion, but that's, I think, good change as we go along. Himanshu, yeah.
Yeah, thanks again. Great demo, guys. It was fantastic. And what I majorly loved was it was an end-to-end, that it's not just doing the forecasting, but it can also actually place the orders on your behalf, or at least there's like a concept of human in loop that it can notify you. These could be something that you can actually order. One thing that I wanted to know, what are your thoughts on what is the value proposition of this one? How do you fare this particular product as compared to the competitors? Because this kind of forecasting models do already exist. So how do you differentiate from others?
Yeah, so
Nidhi, you want to answer that?
yeah. So thank you, Manju, for the question. Well, actually, the idea behind this is that we are first of all gonna target the small and medium enterprises, right? And most of the inventory models or the forecasting models that are there are usually at a bigger scale. There are some which are targeting these. That's one. Secondly, we are also making it end to end in the sense that most of them, what we had seen in the market, usually just focus either on predicting or giving you analytics around that. But what we are doing is we are making it quite actionable. And secondly, we are also trying to, what you saw on the orders page, right? We are making it end to end. So if you bring in your just vendors, it will also create orders for you. And in the future roadmap, what we are planning is it will trigger a telegram, because of the time we couldn't do that actually, but that was on our next item to build. It could trigger a telegram and you could just approve the order from the telegram for the human in the loop part of it, and it will automatically go and send an email to your vendor. So we are actually trying to make it end to end and not just restricted to predicting and giving you insight. So that's the idea how we want to kind of differentiate it from the others.
Interesting. Thank you. Thanks, Nidhi, for the answer. And thanks, Himanshu, for asking. In fact, thanks to all the panelists. Yeah, we have a little bit hit over time, but I'm sure it was interesting and quite insightful to see the application of these end-to-end products, because this is something which might take, let's say, 6 to 9 months of proper development with like traditional teams, but teams have accomplished like this in 12 days. Yeah, and of course, there are like a couple of things that they would have to improve, but I would say commendable work in like 12 days time frame working, yeah, and applying all the AI learning. That's super amazing, right? So thank you, team. I think we can now move to the next team. I think you folks can stop sharing a screen.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, you guys can stay, but I think there'll be some questions in the chat if you would want to answer it as we go along, right? Awesome. So folks, about the next team, right? So the problem statement that they're trying to solve, see, for growing businesses, right? Every vendor mistake multiplies fast, right? Probably delays at one supplier could ripple through the entire chain as well, right? Entire supply chain, value chain, right? And what you have noticed that poor vendor oversight is the leading cause of procurement delays, and at least like 60 to 70% of the Indian firms who's operating at that scale, right? And our next team is solving this with smart vendor management. So I'd like to invite Gaurav and Shivani for this. One more interesting insight for them is this is like we have like 3 teams presenting today. Out of that, this is the team who has gone ahead and implemented MCP, right? So we have Gaurav with us. Gaurav is a technical product owner at T-Systems, and we have Shivani. She's working in change management. So yeah, the team, over to you. And yeah, I'm particularly quite excited about that MCP implementation because yeah, that's like new concept, and yeah, awesome. Over to you.
Sure. Hope you're able to see the screen.
Yes, Gaurav. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for making it on Sunday. Thanks for our panelist as well. So let us start with the problem statement, right? So I'll divide this demo in 4 parts. We'll first talk about problem statement, then we'll see the demo, then we'll see the backend logic, and last but not the least, the magic the MCP brings to you, right? So let's begin with the problem statement. Currently, the vendor evaluation is a very important step as mentioned by Akhil, right? Because it starts with RFI. You ask vendors to submit their information, and based on that, you do the vendor evaluation. You select the vendors whom with you want to do the business with, right? And this process is quite extensive. You send out 1,000 emails to 1,000 vendors. They submit their RFIs, and then there is a manual scoring, right? So there is a team who is going through the checklist, and then benchmarking the vendors. Of course, since it's a manual efforts and human extensive, it can prone to a lot of mistakes, right? So let me go to the next slide. Yeah, what we are trying to solve, right? So currently, as I said, the RFI goes out to the vendors and vendors submits it, and then somebody has to go it, keep the track of it. How many vendors have submitted the RFI? How many not? How many are missing the information? Who tops the program management? Who tops the security? Tops the compliance? So it's very extensive thing. So what we have done is we have built here an agent or a product that will kind of read all the RFIs from all the vendors. Yeah, and it will do the scoring based on program management, security, and compliance to begin with. We use very good concept of RAG, because this scoring that you're doing has different basis for telecom, has different basis for healthcare, so it's all industry specific. So we have built an RAG which will pull the data industry specific, and it will do the evaluation for you. What we bring to you, as I mentioned, RFI submission process we automated. We have given the AI powered data extraction, automated scoring, and of course the dashboard. And last but not the least, your MCP. So without wasting much time, let me go to the demo part of it, right? Please, quick thumbs up if I am able to show you one iEval application. Okay, so right now you can see that I have logged in with the buyer dashboard. Consider that you are a buyer. Of course, it is authenticated by username and password. Just to save the time, I'm showing you that. Here you can see, how many active RFIs you have. So currently, I have these menus of active RFIs, right? You can see how many vendors have submitted the response. How many vendors are pending to submit the response. What is the missing info? Stuff like that, right? And at the top, you can see the create RFI option. We'll go to that, but first let me show you view analytics as well. So you can see the end result of our application, right? So here you can see the vendors benchmarking being done, right? I can see the vendor performance is 70% of telco secure. Here it is 60% and 46. But as some panelists mentioned, right, we should not blindly trust AI, we should have some evaluation metrics in place that shows how the scoring is done. That's the reason we have given here the vendor rankings with the analysis. So if you click on telco secure, it will tell you what's the security compliance, why it is, making it 90%, what are the strengths, what are the area of improvements, for that vendor. This is all being, extracted from the vendor response, and also with the RAG, the industry document or compliance document or checklist that you have, right? So it is the scoring that is being done here. You can see it, strength and area of improvement, right? So this is the end goal of this, but it doesn't stop here. We want to integrate this with the RFP, request for proposal, and contract. Imagine that you know the strength of vendor, you know the weaknesses of vendor. You can use this data to create a very comprehensive contract, right? Because I come from a contract intelligence background as well, so I know how strength or weaknesses can contribute to contracts, right? So now go back to the demo, how we are populating this data. Right now you can see here 3 vendors have been published. I will now right away run for one extra vendor. So typical workflow start with dashboard, right? So once you log into the buyer dashboard, you can click on create RFI here. This is where the buyer is creating the request for information template, right? So I can say RFI HG for now. I can select the category, network infrastructure. I can specify the deadline. It's very important because by then vendor has to submit. And we have also the logic to remind vendors that they haven't submitted their data. This is all come from here, right? And now I will upload one template from here, right? This template will go to the vendor as an attachment, so that vendor can fill it up. So let me open this up, yeah, and let's say, yeah, let's take any RFI from here, this one for example, and just this is a template, by the way. I created the RFI. Okay. Now what happens once the RFI is created, right? Vendor has to enroll into this RFI, right? That's the reason we have the vendor enrollment process here. since this is the MVP, we also plan to have the vendor dashboard also, but currently it's just vendor enrollment that you are providing. So here I will enter the vendor that I'm gonna create, right? So let's say Spring Nature. This is my vendor, by the way, who is enrolling into it. Stella is my or Shivani, who is my colleague here, who worked on this project as well. So Shivani, I'll enter the email address of mine. For example, I want to show you the email that is being sent out. The the phone number, the country, yeah, the category, network infra. And now here you can see select the the RFI that we just created, right? So it will populate here and you can select it. As soon as you select here, just click on complete enrollment. What happens? Vendor gets the email with the RFI template that he needs to upload, right? Just let it complete. All right, enrollment successful. Now, if you go to the email, you can always trouble with this top and bar. But anyways, I'll open the new email here. Yeah, you can see the email is sent out to the vendor, right? That, okay, this is the template. You can download the template. I mean, the vendor can download the template. He can fill the template up. Now, what happens? Vendor submit the data, right? So he can compose the email. I'm not using the same email ID just for the sake of presentation, but we will in the email also, we can give you the ID on which the vendor has to respond, right? So for now, it's Magic with Gary, right? I will say RFI, yeah, and I'll upload the template here that I have created already for the sake of presentation. So Spring Nature RFI, I have created this. Yeah. And now I'll just submit this, right? So as soon as I submit this, what happens, right? I have the backend NA10 that is listening to it. Let me show you that. I'm going to NA10 workflow. This is our backend logic. I'll go into the execution. I'll show you how it's working in the background, right? So let me go to the executions at the top. Yeah, so let it auto refresh. You can see the execution is yet to be started because it's reading the email in the background, right? You will now you'll see it's popping up here. Let us just hit load. It will take some time, right? Because email is sent out. Now the email would be extracted, So you'll see the status over here. Yeah, while it's coming up, I'll show you some more things that we have done, just to save the time. So for example, once the vendor is selected, right? What you want to do, right? You want to notify them that they will be getting the request for proposal, right? So you can use our chatbot here. You can say notify first two vendors that they are selected. Just mention that, and now chatbot will do the magic. It will send the email to the vendors, right? That score that first two vendors that they are selected, and they'll be soon getting the request for proposal, right? So it is now sending the email. All right, the email is sent. Let us see the email that is being sent out. Exactly. So email is here. Congratulations, Telco Secure. This is your ranking, and then you'll be soon getting the request for proposal documents, right? Now let us go to the workflow. Let's see what happened to it. It's not auto refreshing somehow. Let me auto refresh again. Or the best thing is to do check our, basically the eye evaluation platform. Probably the data is already there. Let me go to the view analytics page. Oh yes, the data is already there. So if you see earlier there were 3 vendor, now there is one more, Spring Nature. It already done the job. You click on the Spring Nature here, you see it's 30%. These are its strengths, these are its area of improvement, right? So this is all done, with this NA10 workflow that I have just shown you. Maybe it's not, yeah, it's coming up here, right, in the execution. Okay, so this is how it's working. We never stop here, right? Now let me cover the backend part of it, right? How it's working in the backend. So there are a couple of agents that we have created for this, but I will talk about 3 major agents, right? Have you seen the movie Robo, the Thalaiva's movie, right? There you might have seen the Chitti robot, right? It reads the documents to help Aishwarya Rai with the answers, right? So imagine this is our little Chitti, it will read all the compliance document that you provide, and then it will be ready to help you with the evaluation. So let me execute this workflow. You can see now it's pulling all the documents from my drive, it is running, it will run for all the documents that we have. So it is processing its brain, so that all the documents it's in its brain. And once it is done, once this workflow is executed, it has now all the knowledge of that particular industry, let's say telecom industry. And when now you feed the RFI with the telecom industry, that's where our backend logic comes in picture, which just got executed now. You can see here, it will read the Gmail, it will do some extraction, and then Supabase vector store, right? Because we have stored the document in the RAG. So Supabase vector store will match the documents using the tokens, and then bring that up, right? Using the embeddings, and then it will sort of append the database that we have, right? So this is the second logic that we have. And then and the last but not the least, the MCP server, right? But let me, before I go in the demo, let me explain you the MCP. So imagine that this vendor evaluation platform that you see here, right? It's now, you can play with it when you log in here. What if I say that I outsource my brain to you and you can use it with the choice of your LLM? For example, you see the Claude here, right? This is Claude desktop. This is outside my system, right? I'm not connected, or let's say I'm not inside my application. But what if I say I have a server that you can plug into your LLM, maybe ChatGPT or LLM of your choice, and you can work with our vendor evaluation system. For example, let me ask it, how many RFIs are active? Yeah, let us see what it does. So you can see, okay, okay, maybe I I extended this. Let me open the new, let's say.
We can see the previous conversation history.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, so you can see here, I have asked it how many RFIs are there, right? So it has listed all the RFIs that I have. What is the deadline of RFI? This is all happening outside your application, Then you can see what is the score, Then I ask it that I see that Telco Secure is, top, but we should ask for the documentation. For example, Telco Secure claims that they're good with some compliance, but we should ask them a document, right? What document they have, right? So it can send you the email in the Gmail, right? It will send the email to you that asking for that. You can also send a Slack message. For example, you can send the Slack message from here itself. Let me show you the Slack, right? So you can see the complete ecosystem, because generally your procurement team can work in scattered manner, right? So they can have different systems or different Slack channels or Teams channel. You can see right here, I have sent the Slack message that vendor verification update, action taken, just sent a comprehensive verification email to top ranked vendor, right? This is being sent to the Slack automatically. Yeah, so I wish I could have show you, but let me try one more time. Maybe with the new chat, it should allow me that. Let me try. Because I have troubled Claude with a lot of queries. How many RFIs are active? No, it's not giving me that. Okay, anyways, but I was able to prove the point that, it can also, you can interact with Claude, you can send the email, and how this happening, So there is another end-to-end workflow for that I would like to show you. It's an easy workflow, or at least it looks easy, but there is some configuration that we need to do. So you can see the MCP server here. So this is considered, this is the brain of our vendor evaluation system. And I have given it or enabled my brain to use these tools like send message, get data from the Supabase, send the email, So all these things, and this is no limit, I can add to server and we can make our brain available to that tool. So this is the whole ecosystem that we built. My future plan is to integrate this with the contract intelligence so that I can get maximum benefit with this vendor evaluation.
Awesome. I think that's superb. I would say end-to-end execution, Gaurav, and end-to-end use case, and also the MCP implementation. That's okay. I think Claude limit, but we could at least see the conversations happening and all, right? At least during a test mode, right? So, and Gaurav, just a quick question: how many engineers, helped you've taken to build this?
Just two, me and Shivani.
All right.
It took us some sleepless nights, but it's okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I think great work. So I'll now invite Himanshu. Himanshu, over to you. Any feedback or any questions you have with the team?
Yeah, thanks, Akhil. And great demo, Gaurav. It's again literally looking like a complete product end to end that could be used. I have just one thought into this. So one, like it could be like a double question. How is the strengths and areas coming? Like, is this reading just from the document, or is it something more like a rules that you have prepared that whatever documents are being submitted, you actually start classifying information into categories that this is good for like this particular category, this is good for this category, and so that you are able to showcase the strength.
Yeah. So we have used thanks for that question. We have used the weightage average here. So for example, if I given the context that if you find a security document, because that's where the major of weightage come from the vendor evaluation. So
and it was able to go through the transcript, and you can see the key difference. Open router is like a
sorry. Yeah. So
Ravi is doing 2 sessions at once.
Yeah. So this is like, this is the prompt that I have given. So as you rightly mentioned, I've given it some rules, that for example, if you find this security document, then give it that much percentage. So it's all part of our AI logic that we built.
So is it like a static logic across all of the RFIs, or do you have the flexibility that based on different requirements you can customize this? Because everything is in your prompt right now.
Exactly. So I can provide it a dynamic prompt. So there are two ways to it, right? One is we create a dynamic workflow every time you have the different industry, number one. Or number two, you make the context, to given to the AI as dynamic. That is also possible, but as a part of this RFI, we focused on telecom. But that's very much possible, Himanshu. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. I think making that dynamic is actually going to be very, very effective.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Himanshu. Sugandha, over to you.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot, Gaurav. There was a lot to follow. I was trying to see like what all is being done. If I'm not wrong, the MCP server part came into the picture if you don't want to use dashboard in a way. Right?
Yeah, in a way, or maybe that you haven't provided your system or data earlier. For example, let's say latest news, right? That some vendor has a data breach, and now you want to update the score based on that. So instead of logging in into our system, making changes, use the Cloud desktop, view the context, and update the score based on that.
Okay, got it. No, this is great. Just one curiosity, like you did say that you did provide some template RFIs based and some weightage to maybe security, compliance, or program management you would give to finally predict the score for a vendor and all of that. Is there a way to, let's say, because you're talking about large vendors and selecting a vendor based on those score.
Yeah.
So like some way to predict maybe a risk for a potential vendor, like non-compliance, supply chain disruptions. How would that be factored in, or would that be called out in this system?
Yeah, so we can use, I mean, I tried this, but given the fact this MVP, right, we can have the ghost vendor data. For example, large organization have the ghosting also, so on some parameter, so that some vendor participate just for the sake of participating and they just vanish away.
Yeah,
this can be one. Yeah, so we can integrate a database and we can provide the context to it in the MCP server, right? And you can, whenever you get a data, for example, that vendor, it will scan the database that you have, right? From the previous data or historical data, or some website, for example, that lists this, cyber data breach, or we can pull the context and we can update the ratings like that.
Okay, so basically it's like one more factor that you will consider based on whatever the website and potential risk of. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you, Sugandha. Thanks for the questions. Thanks, Gaurav. Dharni, over to you.
Yeah, Gaurav, I have to say, Gaurav and Shivani, I guess, right? I love this just because of the sheer industry applicability, right? In industries where there is very less innovation with respect to tech. I love this. I have to ask you something. Have you thought thought of so from a buyer perspective, right, or from someone who's setting up auctioning and bidding, etc. Even though I get a dashboard, right, for me, your eval metrics matter, right? I have to be able to trust your metrics, right? Your eval scores. Of course, you will explain the buyer, but I do think in the dashboard you will probably have to go into details in terms of different eval metrics. Have you given a thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right in a way that dashboard is, not the best that we can provide, just given the fact that we have just 2 weeks, But
Of course.
yeah, we can build on it. My idea was, or whole thing was, not just to restrict it to RFI, but take it to contract somehow, and that's where the eval metrics will come in picture, as you rightly mentioned. So we can build on top of it.
Yes, I think also nice surprise with the MCP, definitely, because what I can think of is as a buyer, I'm just not just looking at the dashboard, but actually asking all the random questions that I have in my mind. And I'm hoping, of course, the MCP data can also be, enriched later with multiple plugins into whichever company databases. But nice job with that. Thanks. That's all I have in terms of feedback.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ernie. Thanks, Sugandha. Thanks, Himanshu, for your insightful questions and feedbacks to the team. And Gaurav and Shivani, I have to say, super exhaustive work. And folks, the best thing about this team was like they were only 2 folks, right? Or the other 2 teams, of course, not undermining their work. They all of them, depending on the complexity, have put in as much effort as possible. But like pulling this off at this extent with 2 people is really commendable. So have to definitely pick that up. And thank you, folks. So what we have one more team, right? They're also solving very interesting industry-specific problem statement, right? But before that, I would want to probably borrow 3 to 5 minutes of yours time, wherein I'll probably walk you through why and how all these, of course, problem statements were picked, and how can you also go ahead and start solving these in-depth industry-specific problem statements. And yes, folks, like for commerce enterprises, or in fact any companies out there which are directly dealing with customers, customer reviews are more than just ratings, and they are probably the signals of product gaps and good amount of reasons that why customers churn, right? And a lot of, I think, product teams also make it a source of their backlog in terms of like what problem to solve for, right? And that's where we are inviting the next team, Pradeep's team. Pradeep is VP of product at India Mart, and then we have other folks as well in the team. I'm just quickly inviting them. We have Jaisal as well, we have Deepak as well, we have Madhu as well. So the folks, over to you, and all the best. Yeah, thanks.
Let us share our screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Pradeep ji, it's all right. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. So let us talk about a silent threat every service-based company faces. And the threat which Akhil talked about, it is customer churn. And we generally think about it. I mean, why does customers leave a platform? Why does customer leave any organization? So is it because of price, or is it because of servicing? So it is rarely about price. It is overwhelmingly due to the poor customer service experience. And customer service experience these days is very human dependent. Some of the agents are excellent. Some of the agents are new. Some of the agents are overloaded. So there is always a problem of issue or incomplete diagnosis. There is always a problem of wrong or incomplete solutioning. So the process also drift. The result is the service inconsistency, because it is all human dependent, and obviously the cost disadvantages. So what if we can automate the whole servicing workflow end to end, using full customer context, maybe using the past customer behavior, the behavior on the platform, based on our company's own SOP, based on the RAGs which AI people know about, so that the customer gets the best agent, gets the best day of that agent and every day. So we have created a multi-agent AI system. So we created, first of all, we took the email system to automate. So generally customers reaches out to us via different sources. So it can be an email, it can be on voice, it can be through chat. So we thought of automating the email workflow first. And then it is modular and it is scalable. So we can simply plug it into a call system or into a chat system. So for this email automation, what we did is we created a workflow on n8n. So first of all, what we did is we created a spam detector agent. So we leveraged the spam detection capability of Gmail. And over and above that, we created our own spam detection agent. And then we created a root agent or a classifier agent to classify the issues, whether it is related to deactivation, whether it is related to somebody is not getting business out of your platform, or somebody wants an invoice. So that would classify all the issues or all the emails differently. And this classifier, being a root agent, would pass all the issues to the specific specialized subagents. So what these sub-agents would do, they would pick this context out of the customer behavior, out of SOPs. So they would do the complete contextual retrieval out of the behavior, and they would generate a response. And for edge cases, there is always a human fallback. So as most of the people in the past conversation, they pointed that AI is able to solve probably 80% of the cases somewhere, maybe 60% of the cases somewhere else. So in our case, it would be somewhere around 85% of the cases where AI would take over and they would be able to solve the customer issues. And for remaining 15% of the cases, there is an escalation system or a human fallback. So let me walk you through that. Just a second. So let me walk you through this live demo. So there is somebody, say some guy who is our customer XYZ. He's sending an email. So he's saying, let me deactivate my account. Let me deactivate my account. So it can be an email. So in the interest of time, I've drafted a couple of emails. So say, for example, he's email, and probably in another 1 or 2 seconds, the care guy is going to receive this email. So the Gmail is pretty fast these days. Probably a few seconds it would reach out to the customer care executive. So let me switch roles. Oh, just say that. I would never expect Gmail to take this much of time. An email.
We have sent the email.
As a customer, I have sent an email.
Just a second.
Sorry for the inconvenience, folks.
If you see, right, so here the spam detection road is running now, and it has went to the root agent.
So this is the classifier agent. So the classifier agent is working. So this is the brain behind the classifier agent. So we have plugged the Gemini LLM here. So it is using the RAG system to identify or to triage or classify the emails, going back and forth to actually understand the context. And further, it is going to Gmail to, so see, I mean, you can show the sent email. So what is the email which it has sent? So now, so it was a deactivation of account email. So he said, I mean, he knew my name. So he picked my name from the database and he asked me, and then he even told me that my issue has been escalated to my account manager. Again, that has been picked through database. And I have been given an option to give a feedback. Can you click over that, Deepak? So I even have this option to to share my feedback. So I can share my feedback. It would again be saved into database, and my dashboard would be able to pick all these KPIs and metrics. See, even if so, we talked about two things here. We talked about the AI offering an end-to-end solution here. And in certain cases, say 15% of the cases, these are edge cases wherein it would be very difficult for any person or any AI to actually figure out the issue. So maybe you can go back to the Gmail, Deepak.
Sure.
So you can write from the personal email, you can write to the customer care team, you can write asking for an invoice, share the invoice or share me the invoice of my services, share the invoice of my services. Please do share the invoice of my services I took in June or April or whatever. So these may be certain edge cases when the AI trained. So once Deepak would share this email and it would go to the customer care guy, and Deepak would execute the workflow, and we are executing this workflow in the interest of time. It would automatically be executed after every 1 minute. So, I mean, there is no human involvement till here. So the moment this email reaches to customer care team, we would execute the workflow. This execution is just for demo purpose. Otherwise, it is going to be auto executed after every 1 minute.
So it has gone into the human in the loop. So we have labeled human in the loop. So the human has to specifically open and he has to reply to this mail.
So human would be replying any edge cases. So it would cover, say 85% of the cases. I mean, we can raise any kind of queries, and in say 85% of the queries, the AI is going to respond based on our knowledge base and based on the plug drag. And for 15% of the edge cases, it is going to label it as human in the loop, and the person who is handling the customer care email ID would be able to respond to these email IDs. And the feedback of both these emails is going to get saved differently in the database. And Deepak, maybe you would want to present the dashboard as well.
Yeah, so I'll note since we have built the agent, right? So now it is important to get the metrics of the agent, like how many of the cases the auto responded and how many of the cases human is handling. So here we can see the dashboard. See, out of 85 overall user queries, 12 are identified as the spam and need not require any response. And out of the 73, 62 were handled by the auto response and 11 has to be handled by the human. And also we will be able to see how many queries for each categories, like buy leads, poor servicing, deactivation, positive feedback. And also we will be able to check each email key, what is the email which you are receiving from the client on a day-to-day basis key. Suppose for today, last 2 days, how many emails have received, what was the category, and we can go through this. The other is the user feedback. So we would be able to compare the KPIs of the user response and the auto response. So we will be to see how many response or total queries were responses we got, and what is the average rating for the auto response and the human response, and how many positive, neutral, and negative ratings each or human response or the auto response has given. By this way, we would be able to handle the metrics of the agent as well.
So this is going to be very modular. So, I mean, once we have the RAG ready, once we have these agents ready, we can simply plug that in any voice conversation also. We would just have to convert that into TTS, I mean, text to speech, and then the agent would be ready to even respond on the phone call. There we may have to optimize the API response time maybe a little bit, but it is scalable to voice and definitely chat as well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Pradeep. Thanks, Deepak and team. Thanks, Jaisal, for, I think, extensive demo. And folks, sorry for small internet glitch. Yeah, that's something which goes with team. We have requested Sugandha to talk to our colleagues. All right. So yeah, let's go to panelist. Dhani, your any feedback, any questions from your end? Let me see if she's
No,
not.
actually,
Yeah.
I'm here. Am I audible?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
No feedback as such. I think for me the application is. I mean, as a product manager, I think the breadth in terms of application, I would see as opportunity. It didn't feel like it was very big opportunity. Of course, the solution created was brilliant, but that's my only feedback in terms of area of choice.
Interesting. But I think, Dhani, just to probably share, because we were part of the process when the teams were doing research. There are like a lot of customer queries which just goes unnoticed, and just try to also look at the amount of feedback that comes on social media on a recurring basis because of unhappy customers. We are definitely not countering your feedback. We really appreciate it. It's just like just trying to put forward the research the team has gone through. But yeah, definitely makes sense. Yeah, this could not be something which investors invest in probably, but this could be internal, I would say extended use case that could be built on, right? So, but thanks for sharing
So
your feedback.
in our case, we get close to 60,000 emails and we get close to 7 lakh inbound calls every month. And we have close to 1,000 different employees handling all that. So it is going to help reduce that. So that was the
Well,
reason we chose.
I can't refute data, but thanks for letting me know, Pradeep.
Awesome. Thanks, Dhani. Yeah, Sugandha.
Akhil, Sugandha had to drop.
Okay, no worries. Himanshu.
Yeah, sure. Thanks again. Pradeep and team, it's a fantastic demo. I can personally relate to it because I'm coming from the same space for servicing, so I can totally relate to the big pain point. I want to give a feedback that if you can extend this demo to classify which would be the right human agent, who should the actual ticket be routed to, that will solve a lot of problems. Because if it is routing to a random agent, it's going to cause a chaos. Maybe you can think of integrating some sort of a API by which you can understand which is the right skill of an agent, which type of category of the problem it is. And I know it is a MVP because of which might have got a less time, but this could be probable extension if you are showcasing that 60% of the sort of the queries could be handled by an agent, which is like a bot, and rest 40% are going to human agent. And even in those 40%, you can actually reduce the average handle time of the ticket right from the submission till the resolution is actually coming. That could be a great success.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Himanshu. Thanks, Ernie. Thanks for sharing your feedback. I would say thanks to the entire team, including Pradeep's team and including Vinay's team and Gaurav's, quite extensive. And thanks for the entire audience, who have stayed with us till the end. And we'll be releasing the winners of the demo day probably by tomorrow. And stay tuned for that. And again, thanking again to all the panelists and spending your crucial 90 minutes with us. And